and gentlemen, welcome tonight to the Tulsa Sound Podcast.
All right, welcome everyone to tonight's episode of the Tulsa Sound Podcast.
If it isn't my co-host, Oscar Padron.
That's right, I'm Oscar Padron, your co-host.
That's him.
And this is Mr. Eric, a man that's known all over the world for his ability to just shine. We love Mr. Eric, and we'd love you to love him too.
Well, you know, it's great to be here tonight on a kind of a cold, rainy spring evening. Spring has sprung.
Spring has sprung.
Spring has sprung. I had my birthday a couple of weeks back. It was first day of spring. Oh, it was exciting.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's like winter again out there. But we're loving it, and it's going to warm up real soon. But we've got a great show for you tonight. We got out here to the studios last week, and then we had some issues pop up, and we weren't able to get our taping put in, which is, you know, one of those things that happens. So we're back. We
are back.
We promised we'd be back, even
That's
though
right.
we only made a promise to ourselves.
Guys, tonight we have a great show. We want you to stick around. We want you to roll one up. Let me fill you guys in on tonight's show. Tonight's going to be a good one.
Tell me about it, please. Please,
Mr. Eric, tonight on the show, we're going to do a story on JJ Cale.
Oh, that's right.
The legend of the Tulsa Sound and JJ Cale.
Excellent.
And we're going to talk a little bit about the Moondog Coronation Ball, which occurred in 1956.
On March 21st.
That's right, March 21st of 1956.
The Moondog Ball, was that not the first official rock and roll concert ever?
Our research shows that it is.
Well, then there you go. I share a birthday with Captain Kirk, Gary Oldman, and rock and roll concerts.
We're going to talk about Leon Russell a little bit tonight.
Little Leon, are you happy to hear that? Well, you know, I love to hear a story myself.
And we have a segment on the recent Bob Dylan show that was down at the Tulsa Theater.
Yeah,
he kicked off his North American tour there.
He's a traveling Wilbury, you know.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've got the set list from the Bob Dylan show at the Brady at the Tulsa Theater.
We've got the set list.
And we have a little blurb on David Crosby. Did
somebody lose their job over getting their hands on that set list, Oscar?
No. I found the information publicly on Reddit.
So you didn't actually, go run out there and, steal one off at a drummer's riser?
No, we know better than that.
You could big trouble.
Yeah, that's not
doing that. No bueno, Sam.
So tonight we've got a great show for you. Again, we want you to hit that like and subscribe button.
Hit the
we
like button.
We want you to tell your friends. Let me beg of you, please share this show with five friends.
Please, ma'am, please.
Share this show with 5 friends.
Think of the children.
Let's get those numbers up. We're almost 3 years in, and we're not even monetized here on YouTube. So
what is monetization?
Well, you got to have 1,000 followers first.
Well.
And we're close. We've got 873.
Well, then, folks, if each and every one of you just told 1/3 of the person sitting next to you, we might get there soon.
So that's what we ask of you, just to hit that subscribe button, and you'll be able to enjoy all this content for absolutely free.
Absolutely free. It comes to you free of charge, no cost.
On the YouTube. We're also available on Rumble, so check us out on Rumble. Yeah.
And now, we're also... Follow us where?
On Instagram.
Follow us
on the book face. Yeah. And, look for us there.
And also, now, I do want to announce, over the last few months, over the last couple of seasons, one of our biggest and our only sponsor is Santa Rita Smoke Shop there on Old Highway 66, just halfway between Pulp and Tulsa, Santa Rita. But we've got a new sponsor. It's a legacy sponsor, and we're really glad we're going to see some sponsor from John F. Lawhon's Furniture Warehouse and Showroom. If you've ever wanted beautiful leather. And so one of our great new sponsors, in fact, we're going to be getting some new stuff here from the John F. Lawhon Warehouse and Showroom soon.
Do you think they have Corinthian leather?
I'm sure they got Corinthian leather. Also, I'd like to introduce everybody here, and Oscar, brother, I'd like to introduce you to a new element here on our exciting set. It's Telly. And this is a great new thing we've been working on for a while. We want to be able to share our slideshows and other stuff with you. So we're kind of incorporating a more, what's the word I want to use?
More of a network TV
yeah. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore. right, well, listen, I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore, but I want you all to know that I love you. And we're going to be right back with
the Tulsa
a
Sound
great
Podcast.
show. So please stick around. Like, subscribe. Hit it all. Hit it all.
We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Please.
These people know what they want. Why? Because before they bought replacement windows, they sent for this free book. It's got all the questions answered on prime replacement windows, and they're going to find peace of mind with Super Sage Window Company. So if you're serious about replacement windows, call 583-4855, and I'll send you this book. Better yet, I'll bring it myself. We'll get serious together. Call Super Sage at 583-4855. Super Sage.
This is a sandwich for forks. An open face creation, in other words, with a cheese, milk, and tuna fish mixture on top. The basis will be rye bread, Mother's idea. She found that the spicy caraway flavor made a good contrast to the bland fish and cheese. Sally puts a cube, about a square inch, of butter into the top of a double boiler. A little butter finds its way into a great many dishes in this kitchen, not only for flavor, but as a blending agent. The simmer flame keeps the water boiling gently while the cheese is melting, so that Sally can go on to other tasks. She adds the canned chunk-style tuna fish, and notice that she uses a wooden spoon to avoid discoloration of the mixture. The bread was toasted quickly in the broiler, and the rarebit is nearly ready to serve. 2 slices of toast are neatly arranged on each plate, and the filling, or perhaps we should say covering, goes on top. Sally knows you should serve cream dishes with extra caution, and effective carelessness here is no asset. Mother is a great believer in the aesthetic value of parsley, and of course it's good to eat, too. Now a touch of Tabasco for color and a taste surprise, and there's tuna rarebit a la Sally Gasco.
We are back.
We are back at the Tulsa Sound Podcast. We are so glad that you guys are here with us tonight. We had those exciting. Oh, you silly! You stop it. We had those commercials there, and everybody loved them. And you know, Oscar, that's the beauty of being from Tulsa is all the memories that we've got.
Oh man, so many memories of growing up here in Tulsa.
So many great stores.
We hope to share those with you.
I tell you one thing that I do want to work on, and sometime between now and summer, we want to do one of our shows, and we're going to do a John Chick Memorial Show. I've got to put together some stuff, but
okay.
John Chick was Mr. Zing to some of you. He was a local musician, television personality, and singer, songwriter, and country musician. And he ended up with a television show. Came on every morning on Channel 8 before cartoons. And local country talent was all over that show. So we want to bring some of that in the future. But right now, we're going to talk a little bit about JJ Cale.
That's right.
Now, if you're new to Tulsa, or if you are not from Tulsa but you follow the Tulsa Sound, you have undoubtedly heard of JJ Cale, because JJ was an instrumental. He was a guy who was so definitive in his style that he led others to believe in his faith. He was
sure.
Sort of like a prophet, if you will, of a particular laid-back style of blues, country, a little bit of train tracks.
Yeah, but you know, Mr. Eric, they called it rock and roll.
They called it rock and roll. But what it really was the Tulsa Sound.
Absolutely.
And over the years, there's been so many folks that have grown to appreciate it and followed it deeply and woven it into their own music as well.
This is true.
And so that's, what we do here on the Tulsa Sound Podcast. We were founded on the very basic question, what is the Tulsa Sound to you?
What is that? What is the Tulsa Sound?
So we're going to read a little bit about JJ Cale tonight, and I want you guys to be thinking about how instrumental this gentleman was.
Absolutely.
He is called the key architect of the Tulsa Sound and one of the most influential guitarists of the last 50 years. Mention JJ Cale to anyone in a passing interest in Americana, and they will immediately know the characteristic Cale laid-back sound and know it's a foundation of the Tulsa Sound. They will also be familiar with some of Cale's songs, if only through the versions of various country and Americana artists. What many music fans don't fully appreciate, that in the early 70s there was a significantly less new music released than what we see today. Most of the current artists didn't have a large back catalog, and there was virtually no historical releases available. The consequence of this was that albums were released subject to potentially a lot more attention than is the case today. Also, the lack to historical music meant that the music lovers would only get hints and glimmers of historical backgrounds and influences of what then current music releases were. Some of the glimmer came from the emerging country rock of the Byrds, the Flying Burrito Brothers, and then the new country rock of the Grateful Dead, Dylan, and the band. These groups were ubiquitous, and we had our own UK emerging American roots bands, thanks to Brinsley Schwartz. Some of the most enterprising roots music fans may have rooted out some more esoteric music, but for the general music fan, there was a very limited group of information available on American roots music and even fewer available releases. So when J.J. Cale's album started to appear in 1971 with Naturally, he was viewed as the real thing. Something that his subsequent album titles, 72's Really and Okie, reinforced. Particularly, his picture was not used on any of these albums, which only added to the aura and mystique. At the time, I don't think that many people necessarily understood where his music had come from. Rather, it was something that sprang fully formed and seemed as organic and real, with the music press at the time using words like dusty, laid back, and back porch music.
Certainly.
And I just had to say that with a West Tulsa accent. I just want you to know. And
it's front porch music here in Oklahoma.
Front porch music. And referencing the Tulsa Sound to describe the amalgam of rock and roll, blues, country, and jazz, with a sound and a mix that had not been heard before. Cale achieved something of commercial breakthrough in Europe with 76's Troubadour and a supporting tour in America. Cale had achieved some success with Naturally and the single Call Me the Breeze, but subsequently he enjoyed a higher profile in Europe than in his own country. And how about some of these pictures we see?
Well, I know I was friends with Rocky Frisco, his piano player, and I was friends with Jimmy Karstein, his drummer, and I know that those boys loved going to France. They absolutely loved it.
And I know that Byfield ended up going to France and playing there.
Rocky Frisco used to say to me all the time, Oscar, let's go to Europe so we can be somebody. And he meant it. He was ready to go back.
Well, indeed. Well, I'll tell you, one of JJ's things was, above everything else, he was a sound guy.
So JJ was a sound man also, the recording engineer.
Right. I mean, as far as what he did for a living, if you ask him, he'd say, I'm a sound engineer, I write some songs. Because he loved being in the studio. He loved recording. And this is probably why his work is so prolific, is because it seems like it's just organic and just popped out of the earth. But no, when you work in a studio every hour, whether you're working on somebody else's material or your own, you're gaining this knowledge, you're getting this experience. It's ear time. And as much ear time as an engineer would get running a studio or having his own place.
Ear time being very important for a sound engineer.
Yeah, anytime that you can actually be physically mixing a band, you're learning. And unless you're just too drunk to know, don't laugh over there, Frisbee, Dad Gummit. Ladies and gentlemen, our producer, Frisbee, who's probably drunk.
Hey, Ruben, say hello to the crowd.
Say
Howdy.
All right, we're glad Ruben's
like him,
joining us
subscribe
tonight.
to him.
Glad to be here.
He's glad to be here. We didn't want to ignore him, but I must be reading on, so
Yeah, read on.
The clock is running. While JJ Cale remained a cult artist in America and Europe,
Yeah, still is. In Japan, they love him.
albeit a fairly large cult, his reputation was enhanced by the number of cover versions of his songs. And what is surprising is how broad the range of artists who covered Cale's songs, including rock musician Eric Clapton.
Leonard Skinner covered The Breeze.
That's right, Scottish by Nazareth, Santana, Captain Beefheart, Brian Ferry, Jerry Garcia, Widespread Panic. And boy, I've got a great Widespread Panic story, but I'm not going to share it right now.
Yeah.
Fish, Tom Petty, and even jazzier Herbie Mann.
Man.
Oh, yeah, Herbie.
You know, JJ's influence runs deep in the music community, especially in the larger artists. They've, exhausted a lot of the pop fluff and removed that, and a lot of them are going back to the roots of the tree, which
Well, there you
I
go.
consider JJ Cale.
When it came time for Waylon to become an outlaw and change that whole Nashville thing that he was working on, who did he go to? JJ, right?
Wow, so Waylon went to JJ to keep it real.
Even Chet Atkins covered Cale songs. And the legendary time writer Tom T. Hall dipped into the Cale songbook and did Man in Black.
And Tom T. Hall was kind of like a pop country crossover. He was huge.
If you watched Hee Haw, I think...
Or if you listen to
people know that.
commercials, he was the voice of several commercials. He did intros. And his voice was everywhere for a while.
Incredible. Tom T. Hall.
Tom T. Hall.
Please, make a note of it. Okay, here we go. Well, moving on, all sorts of groups were attracted to Cale. Roots artists from the band to Maria Muldaur, Poco, and current Americana acts, Dylan LeBlanc, Lucinda Williams. The royal lady herself.
She's never a pain in the ass.
No, never.
Never a pain in the ass during a live production. Lucinda Williams, no, she's never that.
No. And Lucas Nelson, and even bluegrass royalty, the seldom seen, got in on the act.
Well, Lucas Nelson gets bigger and bigger every year, and he sounds just like a daddy.
Well, in the twilight of my
Yeah.
memories. As I was saying, his guitar playing was so unique that it materially influenced Eric Clapton, who built a career on Cale's influence, Mark Knopfler, and Neil Young. And we haven't even mentioned his influence on the development of the Tulsa Sound or the Oklahoma Red Dirt music scene.
Which are direct children of JJ Cale musically.
That's right. We haven't even talked about it, but now we're gonna. However, JJ Cale was not just simply the torchbearer of a root music genre. He was an innovator driven by commercial issues and his psychological and musical preferences. John Weldon Cale was born in here. Can I read this part?
Yeah.
Like, folks, I want to read this part like I'm Walter Winchell, the old radio guy. Here we go. John Weldon Cale was born in Oklahoma City in 1938, and he was drawn to the guitar and sound recording from the start. Moving to Los Angeles in 1964, following the trail pioneered by fellow Okie Leon Russell, working as a sound engineer for Russell and Snuff Garrett, and playing guitar around the local club scene. Enough of that, huh?
Dateline.
Elliot Ness later was Bud Guppy. Okay. Well, he learned a lot about studio engineering and the art of creating the pop song from mid-'60s LA music scene. He wasn't really making a lot of money. His attempts at any form of a career had failed miserably, so he felt. So he returned to Tulsa in '67 and joining the band of local legend Don White.
We sure do love some Don White on this show. We are huge fans of Don White and Steve White.
There you go. Well, it was only following Eric Clapton's recording of a 66 Cale song, After Midnight, that he had another crack at launching his career after encouragement from a friend and Nashville DJ Audie Ashworth, who produced Cale from his second album, Really, and until the early 80s. His debut album, Naturally, seemed to spring forth fully from nowhere. But as we stated a minute ago, this unique sound mixing all these different flavors together was something that he had been working on for years. His playing in clubs before he went to Los Angeles, and then his experiences there, blending that all together. And I can speak to that when you get away from Tulsa, being a Tulsa musician. When you think of our music here and this style, it makes you a little homesick. It reminds you of home.
Oh boy, I know that.
I first moved away to California, and when we would want to feel Tulsa, we'd put on a Jim Byfield album.
Well, I'll give you all a little secret about my life. Whenever I'm on the road and I'm feeling homesick, I listen to the Red Dirt Rangers. And it helps. It really does.
Little Leon's disappointed. He thought you would be listening to him. Well,
No, not Leon or JJ. I listen to the Red Dirt Rangers when I'm homesick. Yeah.
Well,
It's happened. Boy, I got homesick one time real bad in Chicago.
Yeah.
And thank God I had a Red Dirt Ranger CD. I could just find a little quiet time for myself and listen to that CD, and it was all okay.
Yeah. Well, I know that Ruben listens to the Four Americans when he feels
Five.
Oh no! He only listens to four of them because the other one's a drummer, and no one wants to listen to a drummer, right? So anyway, look, now I've lost my place. Well, Naturally is a fan favorite. It was not JJ's. He accepted the quality of his songs was high as they represented his songwriting output over many years. The limited budget and piecemeal recording meant that the sound coalesced into his truly unique sound on subsequent albums, but not on the debut. Also, Cale refused to lip sync Crazy Mama on American Bandstand.
Good for him.
Which was a clear hint of his aversion to normal pop star success, which he believed would turn his music making into a proper job rather than a pleasure once he would have to meet a label's demands.
So I heard the
further
story went
success.
they showed up and they wanted him to lip sync, and JJ said no and just packed up the band and left.
Well, I can imagine.
Yeah, imagine that.
Wow. Well,
He tried to plead with the producers that they could play it, and they wouldn't hear him.
well, ever since Jim Morrison did that little stunt he pulled, I'm sure they were very picky. But I don't think JJ would have whipped it out on stage, except whipping it out on guitar. But at any rate, I'm down that rabbit hole. Here we go. So Cale continued working with the cream of Tulsa, L.A., Memphis, and Nashville musicians, recording their contributions in professional studios onto his home-recorded demos, and in most cases, and as a consequence, the particular engineering skills of Cale helped crystallize and maintain his sound across album and album. Even when he started recording some of his songs completely digitally with no support musicians in the early 90s, JJ Cale recorded a handful of covers during his career, including songs by Muddy Waters, Don Nix, Ray Price, Sonny Curtis, Roger Tillotson, and Paul Kraft.
And all those guys were like church studio regulars back then.
Yes. And they just fit in seamlessly alongside JJ's own songs.
Yeah. Thus starting and creating the soup known as the Tulsa Sound from his out of his well, so to speak.
And now that's another interesting thing. In a lot of our clubs these days, it's very
It's fair to mention that all those guys played in with and around Leon also.
Leon.
Yeah.
Yep. So we just want to remember that it's okay to be write originals, but the covers are good too. You got to play a little mix, and these days that's tougher. These days, you can't just go do a cover show without getting in trouble. So
well, yeah. I mean, the town is demanding original music.
Don't get me started. No, don't get me started.
Well, Mr. Eric is from a time when the bars wanted you to play covers only. They didn't want your originals.
I'm from the time when I want to present the best songs I possibly can to my audience.
Yeah.
And if that song happens to not be one I wrote, well, I'll pay him when I see him. Anyway, the fact that Cale wasn't a bigger star was down to his dislike of the star system and a successful income stream that he got from his song royalties. But what it did mean was that he was able to record the music that he wanted to, the way he wanted to, which ensured both a familiar and unique sound that's influenced music genres from country to rock, as well as from
So I'm sure JJ
Americana.
recorded his own albums and mastered his own albums.
I'm sure he did. I can't see any other way. Cale's time in Los Angeles meant that his songs adhered to the format of the early pop song in length, and he knew about hooks. His dislike of his own vocals meant that he engineered a unique layered sound that was both complex and multifaceted, while also sounding minimalistic. Apart from his songwriting and studio skills, JJ's music was rooted in the musical mix of country, blues, jazz, and rock and roll. And that was the staple of the Tulsa club scene in the late 50s and early 60s.
Absolutely.
And this all led to the development of the Tulsa sound in the 70s. Oh.
Yeah.
And there was also the fact that his guitar playing brought a new style to roots guitar, as Neil Young has attested to. To say that JJ Cale is one of the most influential artists of the last 50 years because of his songwriting, hybrid sound, and guitar playing is not, I repeat, not an overestimation of his achievements which go beyond Americana.
That's great, man. Neil Young coming in clutch.
That's all I can say about JJ tonight. I have preached it, brother.
Oh man, so yeah, I mean his influence again reaches into the deep pockets and the deep hearts of several of our biggest well-known bands and musicians.
Yes.
And JJ is part of the he's just part of the roots of the tree that led to modern rock and roll in the 70s, 80s, and into the 90s with bands like Widespread Panic.
That's true. In many ways, he might be more widely known now than ever.
True. And that's something that I was taught in school. I went to art school, and they said, true art stands the test of time. If it doesn't stand the test of time, it's not true art. And here's JJ Cale proving that what he did was, in fact, true art. It has stood the test of time.
Well, and what else can you say? And the fact that... well, the influence is everywhere. It's not going away.
Oh, yeah, there's not a band in town that doesn't cover Magnolia.
Well, we're certainly on it, and we've got it all taken care of because this is what we do here at the Tulsa Sound Podcast.
Absolutely.
We bring you the truth about the Tulsa Sound.
Absolutely.
And so right now we are going to catch a breath. We're going to take a look at a couple of these wonderful ads for some of our exciting sponsors, and then we are going to be right back with the Tulsa Sound.
The Tulsa Sound. We'll be right back.
Be right back. We'll be right back. We will be right back.
All right, welcome to the Tulsa Sound Podcast. I am your host, Oscar Padron, and thanks for tuning in this evening. We're taking a small break right now. We want you to roll one up. We want you to go to the fridge, grab a snack, come back, hit that subscribe button, and tune in to Tulsa Sound Podcast, the greatest podcast in Tulsa. We'll be right back. All right. So it's that time of year again where we roast Mr. Eric, and of course we only roast the ones we love here on the Tulsa Sound Podcast, and we sure do love Mr. Eric a lot. In the tradition of the New York Friars Club, like I said, we only roast the ones we love. In the tradition of Kill Tony, we only roast the ones we love. Mr. Eric is out on the highway this evening, and we just want to wish him well. Ruben and I are here, and let's get into it. You know, they say, Ruben, don't be rigid, don't be stubborn, don't allow your pride to be your downfall. If something isn't working and you have made a mistake, put your ego aside and try something new. Amen. Mr. Eric does none of those things. And yet I sit here with him week after week anyways. Waka waka. All right. Mr. Eric jokes. I got another. Tulsa Sound Podcast, where we frown upon flip-flops, poor sportsmanship, gambling, and slang. Mr. Eric. Mr. Eric is a man who is 60, but at this rate will be 80 by Christmas. All right. Well, this evening, we're glad you're sticking around here at the Tulsa Sound Podcast. Be sure and stick around for more exciting information on the Tulsa Sound, who all's involved, and the stories we tell. But tonight on the Tulsa Sound Podcast, we have a special segment called Roast Mr. Eric, where I will be roasting Mr. Eric. And let's get right into it. Eric is the leading Peoria Avenue pessimist. Eric, a man who is 60, but at this rate will be 80 by Christmas. Now, we only roast the ones we love here at the Tulsa Sound Podcast. Mr. Eric, a man that has no tolerance for fat vegans. He won't put up with it, ladies and gentlemen. No tolerance for fat vegans at all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue the roast of Mr. Eric this evening, we'd just like you to know that Mr. Eric is a man who was banned from Facebook Marketplace for attempting to sell home-brewed water. Mr. Eric is a total alpha on the dance floor at wedding receptions. Mr. Eric is also known as the Crybaby Hill Hermit. Mr. Eric is the Crosby Heights curmudgeon. Mr. Eric is so old. How old is he? Mr. Eric is so old that he knows music from the Old West, but not Kanye West. He don't know no gold digger. No, he don't. He don't know no gold digger. Mr. Eric, let's see. Good to see you again, sir, is the greeting he receives at Forever 21. Eric only uses his reactive mind. Reacting negatively, skeptically, and contrarily to any input, suggestion, dream, vision, idea, person, thought, or concept you attempt to tell him about or share with him. He sucks, people. He sucks. Zing! Mr. Eric has a yacht on Swan Lake, ladies and gentlemen. Is this thing on? Hello. Mr. Eric. Mr. Eric is a man that hates Disney, The Gathering Place, and your band. He once started an unsuccessful metal band called Sister Fister. Eric is a man who has a historical crush on Typhoid Mary for her social activism. Mr. Rubin, do you know that Eric is the Carthage Street contrarian? Go ahead, test him. Eric is also the Yorktown yokel. Shout out my Simpsons fans out there. Anybody love the Simpsons and you love the yokels? Eric is the Yorktown yokel. He puts the stone in Boston Avenue, ladies and gentlemen. He's the darling of North Darlington Avenue. He's the Mingo Valley meddler. Let's see. Mr. Eric is the volunteer superintendent of Sapulpa. He's the Dawson Daredevil. Mr. Eric is Tulsa's punk rock pessimist. No, I love Mr. Eric. We only roast the ones we love here on the Tulsa Sound Podcast. But Eric is Tulsa's comptroller of rock and rolla. He is the Darth Vader of the slide fader. He's the ingracious bastard of Independence Street. He's Tulsa's favorite lesbian aunt. That's funny. Fuck all of you. Eric Kerr is the over-exaggerator of Oswego Avenue. He's the cantankerous king of Carson Avenue. Mr. Eric, a man who is openly gray. Mr. Eric is also known as the Mingo Valley Maestro. Mr. Eric is the Mingo Creek naturalist, ladies and gentlemen. He is the Mingo Creek naturalist. Ask him about it sometime. We've got a lot of good... Mr. Eric is also known as the Prattville Peeper. Thank you. Mr. Eric, a man with off-the-clock lesbian energy. It's true. He's the naysayer of Norfolk Avenue and the invertebrate zoologist of Zunis Avenue. Fuck all of you. I'm proud of that one. Let's get back to the show.
All right, folks, we're back.
We are back.
We're back. Why do we always yell?
We are back.
Thank you, audience.
Gosh, I'm really excited about this next story.
Maybe it's because the audience is always clapping so loud when we come back that we have to yell. And I don't know why, but we're going to work on this in the future, Tulsa Sound Podcast viewer. We promise you, we make a vow to you that we are going to work on that. Okay.
Absolutely. Roll one up and get ready for this incredible story about the Moondog Coronation Ball.
Now, before we do that, though, I want to ask a question to our producer, Ruben. Ruben.
Yes.
Are we in record? Are we recording?
Yes, sir.
Well,
right.
thank goodness, then, because
It's the audio recording.
Oh, yeah.
So,
We're good on all fronts, gentlemen.
All right.
are the dogs out in the yard, or did you leave the dogs inside? Okay.
I let the dogs out.
I knew that there was something. Yeah. Sorry about that distraction, folks. So tonight, it was my birthday on March 21st.
Happy birthday to Mr.
Eric
Thank
is
you.
77 years old.
You wouldn't know it by knowing me. You'd think I was 90.
That's true. Well, you've been acting like you're 90 since you were in your 30s. So
No, actually, I was born 7.
Eric's new thing is to threaten to die.
I'm going. That's it.
He has turned into his father, and now every time you turn around, he says, "It doesn't matter. I'm going to die anyway."
Yeah. You want?
You fucking prick! You're not dying. You're not going anywhere.
Another week, maybe. You'll have to push me around. Yeah.
Just quit threatening to die. You told me your own dad threatened to die for the last 30 years of his life.
Well,
Quit doing it. You've turned into him.
Right. Well, excellent. There we go. So anyway, all of this to come around to the fact that there was another thing that happened on March 21st. However, it was in March 21st in 1952. And what was it all about? Well, it was what we have been able to determine was the first rock and roll festival concert.
It was not a festival. It was a concert.
Not a festival. It was a concert. And Oscar's got some information here, and we've put this together, and we feel it's important to share it with you, the Tulsa Sound Podcast viewer, because it is, of course, what we want to do. We want to bring you the facts.
Absolutely.
We want to make you aware of the facts so that you can make the decision.
And we realize this
yourself.
is not Tulsa Sound.
Or is this just words on a piece of paper? What really? So let me.
Absolutely. We've got the poster. We've got the poster pulled up. An incredible poster.
Let me deep dive here into this. So what exactly was it? Well, it was called the Historic Moondog Coronation Ball, A Night to Remember. And on March 21st, 1952, in Cleveland, Ohio, this was the stage for what is widely regarded as the first major rock and roll concert. The Moondog Coronation Ball, organized by radio personality Alan Freed. The event was nothing short of groundbreaking in its ambition. In 1952, history was made with the first major rock and roll concert, known affectionately as the Moondog Coronation. Use your thumb. Alan Freed was often credited with coining the term rock and roll, and WJW Radio.
I always found it funny that those folks in Cleveland really believe they invented rock and roll up there.
Well, that's probably because they have the hardest radio station call letters to say. Look, wait, folks, I'm having a stroke right now. Hit like, hit subscribe.
On the air.
Okay, I'm jumping back in. Here we go. This event was a pioneering endeavor that attempted to bridge racial gaps during a time of segregation in the United States. Did you know that?
Yeah,
Oh, you knew
absolutely.
that?
Oh, sure. We had
well.
segregation back then. This is before, the civil rights movement.
That's correct. So this was a novel idea. Alan Freed, who often got credited with
There he is in the white jacket.
with coining that rock and roll term, he teamed up with local concert promoter Lou Platt and supporter like Leo Mintz, owner of Record Rendezvous. Their collective vision was to create a concert that broke racial barriers by including both black and white musical performers on the same stage. This revolutionary idea was at odds with the de facto segregation that plagued the music industry at the time, from radio to records. And the bands rocked the night. Look at that.
Absolutely. Look
Good
at that
God.
crowd.
Man, that looks like the Blue Dome.
Yes.
That's going, man. Well, the event promised an exciting lineup featuring sensational acts that were popular with both black and white audiences. Amongst the performers were
Paul Williams,
that's right. And you know who else?
Tiny Grimes.
You stole my thunder, dude. You stole my name. Because it's Paul Huckabuck Williams.
Hey, and the Hucklebuckers.
Yeah. In another show, we're going to discuss the word huckabuck, but not today. The opening act that set the stage with electrifying energy through their set was abruptly cut short after just one song due to safety concerns. And that was they found out that they had exploding guitars.
No, it was a fire hazard.
Oh, it's fire hazard down front.
Yeah,
Oh, man,
absolutely. The whole place.
The mosh pit was going 10.
I mean, look at how packed that place was.
Wow. Well, there you have it. Tiny Grimes and the Rockin' Highlanders, known for their unique blend of jazz and early rock elements. Who else here? Let's see.
Oh, man, it was a chalk.
It's a deep dive. I'm diving
Well,
deep
you had
into
the Dominoes. You
The
had
Dominoes.
Danny Cobb.
Yeah, they were a vocal group from their hit 60-Minute Man. Key contributors to the evolution of rhythm and blues and rock and roll.
Veretta Dillard also played that show.
Yeah, a talented R&B singer who was rising in fame during this era. The Moondog Coronation Ball wasn't just another concert. It was a statement. It stood out as a groundbreaking event by featuring a blend of black and white artists performing for a racially mixed audience. This was a bold move, and it was one that was not to be minimized by the press. The concert was organized with the collaborative efforts of Freed, promoter Platt, and his sponsors. But chaos and closure was to follow. The concert's success was mirrored by its chaos. An overwhelming crowd, estimated at 20,000 people, eager to attend an arena capable of holding just 10,000, was just the beginning of a night's challenges. Ticket counterfeiting and printing errors led to masses outside, heightening tensions. Fearing a riot, fire authorities made the difficult decision to cancel the concert just after the first song, citing safety concerns. The abrupt closure left many disappointed, but emphasized the powerful allure and popularity of rock and roll.
And, man, the squares were afraid of rock and roll back then. They did not want kids dancing and listening to rock and roll.
They did not want their kids trampled to death in a group as overpacked 2-1. But anyway, well, because I've got to say, though, on the other hand, that you have to be real careful when you overbook a room.
Oh, yeah, and we know these guys are radio guys, so they're just selling tickets.
As a stagehand, we have an emergency exit. We can go, hopefully run away. But, but nobody else gets to. It's very dangerous. It can be a very bad thing. But it's hard to say. Maybe the closure had more to do with politics than anything else.
I suspect so.
I would suspect that
it was probably a mix. They were obviously violating the law with too many people in the room.
Oversold the room,
got greedy, And the authorities clamped down on them when they gave them a reason to.
Well, there you go. You got if you're going to do something, you
Thus
have to
starting
do it right.
the friction between rock and roll and the police.
Well, it was it had a tumultuous conclusion, but it's remembered not only as a milestone in music history, but as a symbol of unity and change. It challenged societal norms and paved the way for the diverse and inclusive music culture we cherish today.
Absolutely.
And so it's not only remembered as this milestone, but all of these things. And, as the first major rock and roll concert, it remains this beacon of what can happen when boldness meets rhythm and vision merges with hope. As the first major rock and roll concert, it remains that beacon and that boldness and that vision. Tulsa Sound Podcast.
Excellent.
Oscar digs deep.
Yeah.
I'm reading the facts.
And
Folks,
there's
we
Alan
are
Freed
signed off.
himself.
Alan Freed right there.
There in the white jacket. And, of course, you can see all the different ethnicities of teenagers down on the floor.
That's
which
a crazy
is
thing.
something that, unfortunately, at the time, the establishment did not want us dancing
Well,
together.
yeah, I'll tell you. That's right. You know what it leads to? Well, actually, at the new Arvest Convention Center, formerly known as the Cox Business and Convention Center, formerly known as the Maxwell Convention Center, formerly known as the Tulsa Convention Center, formerly known as the Tulsa Assembly Center. The Assembly Hall, now known as the Legacy Hall, but formerly known as the Assembly Hall, was Tulsa's first public, non-segregated meeting space.
Excellent. What a great
And
history.
That's why a lot of the groups that played in that room here in Tulsa in the early days were some of the R&B, the Chitlin tour groups.
Sure.
Because it was about the only place that they could play in Tulsa and expect to have a crowd that was substantial for the size of a tour that they were doing.
Yeah.
And so it was a different time, folks. I'll tell you, I lived through it as a little boy a little bit, and it wasn't a part of my family's deal, but I saw a lot of people who it was, and it's I'm glad that things are much better now. Believe me, if you ever doubt that, you don't want to go back and find out.
Right. So this show, and of course, again, it's not part of the Tulsa Sound,
It's not a part.
but it helps us all put together the overall picture of music history that led to the formation of the Tulsa Sound.
That's right.
And so, Alan Freed was a successful radio host. He put on several dances before this, but his radio show was called the Moondog Radio Show.
He was the Moondog.
And, okay, that was his on-air name, nickname. So, this guy had power. He had influence. I don't know if he had any money, but he certainly got his way into, producing this thing.
Well, yeah, he was the man.
Because he was the name.
And I've just got to save it here recently. Each night before I go to bed, I just take a few minutes and I go to YouTube and I watch the Midnight Special with Wolfman Jack.
Oh, man, isn't it great?
All right.
All of the old Midnight Specials are on
Yes.
YouTube. I think it's great,
And,
man. I've been watching them.
To go back to those days when radio and music were so intricately tied, these acts, performed at these early shows, they couldn't really do much without radio and vice versa. And over the years, that's really changed a lot. But
Oh, yeah, it was a hand-in-hand relationship, and if the radio stations, the guys in the suits didn't like you, they wouldn't play your music.
that's right. So now we have the internet, and it doesn't matter. Because if you're good or you're bad, if you put your stuff out there, the people will make the choice.
People will let you know, for sure.
They'll make the choice, and that's what it's all about. So anyway, the Moondog Coronation Ball was a big one. We're going to have that poster on our website so you can check that out.
All right.
And there you have it. So what do we got next, Oscar? What's
coming up next, here's the Tulsa Sound.
Coming up next at the Tulsa Sound.
We're going to give you a story on Leon Russell and the legacy of the Tulsa Sound.
Leon Russell.
So tonight we're doing a lot of Tulsa Sound stuff. We've listened to your requests.
We've heard what
we've
you
had
said.
29 shows so far,
We've
but
had
yet
29 requests.
We've never talked about Leon Russell. We've never talked about JJ. So tonight
we're
doing it.
So we're going to be right back.
We have this story. Yeah. about Leon. So roll on up. We'll be right back after these brief messages, Mr. Rubin.
Absolutely. Let me pull those right out.
Like and subscribe.
All right. We'll be right back.
The brand of spark plug you use can make a difference in hill climbing power. And right here at Road America, football great Paul Hornung and home run champion Roger Maris are going to prove it. They'll drive identical new Chevy trucks. There's just one important difference. Hornung's truck, the white one, has Champion spark plugs. But Maris's truck has a different brand. Hornung's Champion-equipped truck takes the lead and holds it to win the hill climb. Now we switch the plugs and run the race again. This time Maris's truck, the red one, gets the Champions. Throttles are mechanically controlled, so if Maris's truck wins this time, the reason has to be a difference in spark plugs. Maris and Champions win. Roger Maris and Paul Hornung found out why over 20 million car and truck owners have switched to Champions from other brands. Check it out for yourself. Champions can make a difference.
Hey, look at this. It's the Trim Gym from Ronco. A simple and effective way for the whole family to get fit and stay fit. It's so simple, anyone can use it. And this is the portable gym. Use it in the office, at home, or even on holiday. Use it almost anywhere, anytime. The portable gym and the Trim Gym from Ronco. Get fit and stay fit.
Whoa.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Fucking weirdo.
welcome to ET2.
I'm back with Mr. Eric.
Ladies and gentlemen, ET2. Mesa warning.
Eddie Torres, the extra testicle.
All right, are we ready to go up our 59.25? We're going to go at 1 hour straight up. We got about... Hi, folks. My name's Matt Krieger. Fuck you.
And I'm Jimmy Houston.
I'm Beth Ringle. Fuck you. I'm Paul Bauer. Okay. See, this is the stuff that we'll get it fired for later. Wait, we own the corporation, so I guess I won't be firing myself tonight.
The bomb looks good.
Oh, the bomb is a bomb. It's bombing.
That's a fucking nuclear bomb.
Okay, here we go. 5, 3, 2,
All right.
1, and... All right, and we are back at the 1 hour
We are back.
mark.
We are back.
The 1 hour mark.
That's right.
We've
And
got-
I'm your host, Oscar Padron.
Yes.
Joining me for this last segment of the show is Tulsa's Midnight Scientist, Mr. Eric.
Oh, that's him.
He's the volunteer superintendent of Sand Springs.
That's right.
And an extreme foot fetishist.
You know it, Peggy. Hit like, hit subscribe. Okay. Well, hey, you know, every week we sit here, we talk with little Leon. Little Leon, how are you doing tonight? Well, I'm doing all right now. And so we're gonna talk a little bit about.
Yeah,
Leon.
we're going to talk about Leon
I
Russell
can't
tonight.
believe it after the last 20. I mean, how many shows?
29 shows.
29 shows we've done.
We've never mentioned Leon.
We never haven't. At 29 shows, we haven't even set the studio clock. It says it's 2:16. I don't know. I know, but it's either too early or too late. But anyway, well,
Be here now.
Be
Be now here.
Be here now. How about Telly over here?
Be
Telly's
here
doing
now.
a great
Be
job
now
tonight.
here.
We've had some great graphics tonight. As we move on to the shows in the future, folks, Telly will be more and more of a part of our whole world, and so we're glad that you're here tonight to witness this tonight.
Yeah.
This first time experiment,
Absolutely.
and I'm really digging it. Thank you so much over there, our producer. The Frisbee himself,
Mr. Reuben Blackshire.
Mr. Reuben, the Frisbee
He is Tulsa's
himself,
fastest rising
fastest
podcast
rising
producer.
podcast producer.
That is true.
And he's single, ladies. He is single.
That is also true.
So
Hey,
are
hey.
you. So am I.
Yeah, but I'm done. Although I will say this, I would make a great third husband for some lady.
Yeah,
Third.
I would make an incredible third husband. Where you at, girl? I'll take you to Waffle House. Let's go.
I have heard of wanting to be a backup quarterback, but I've never heard of wanting to be a third string quarterback.
Well, when you get to be almost 60, you know, things change.
I've heard of being a first street hooker, though, so that don't matter.
So
none.
contact the show if you'd like me to be your third husband Let's do this.
Hey, man, this is my part of the show now. Won't you shut the hell up over there? All right, little Leon's finally peeved enough to speak up. So I'm going to open up this discussion by doing a little bit of a deep dive here into some Leon facts and figures.
Absolutely.
Leon Russell was a legendary musician who played a pioneering role in developing the Tulsa Sound and that whole genre of music. Born in Lawton, Oklahoma, Russell spent much of his early life playing in various bands before moving to California in the 60s. That is where he became involved in the music scene there. With his unique style and musical vision and incredible musical talent, Russell helped to shape the sound of the Tulsa Sound and made significant contributions to the American popular music scene.
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, one fact that a lot of folks are probably, more folks are aware of now than used to be, but in the original days of rock and roll, of course, a lot of the music that we heard on radio was a small select group of musicians who played everything from commercials to our favorite little rock and roll songs. And this group of musicians was a specialized recording group called the Wrecking Crew.
Yes.
It was an informal list of musicians, probably about 10 or 15 people at any given time. But when Leon made his way out to L.A., his amazing skill in writing and arranging put him in fast contact with folks out there that were in this internal circle. Some other members of the Wrecking Crew, Carol Kay, bassist, incredible. Hal Blaine, probably the drummer that you've heard more than any other drummer in your life. Other musicians, Tommy Tedesco on guitar. And
who was that drummer?
Hal Blaine.
Oh, Hal Blaine on the drums.
The most heard drummer that I'm repeating myself. Glenn Campbell was a member of the Wrecking Crew on and off. And so they did everything from, like I said, commercials. Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass was the Wrecking Crew. These musicians, they had this impact on the industry so broadly that they more or less defined at least the West Coast sound, and therefore the leading edge of rock and roll in the early to mid 60s. And Herb Alpert was on the charts in 66. That would have meant that they would have been in full force at that time. The connection to the Wrecking Crew is significant for Leon because it highlights that he too had these ties to these influential musicians. For example, Russell worked with many of the same musicians who were in the Wrecking Crew, including Jim Keltner and bassist Carl Radle. In addition, Russell himself was known for his skills as a pianist and an organist, which helped to shape the sound of the Tulsa Sound. Now, Oscar, as a musician, Leon was known for his innovation and his willingness to explore new sounds and influences. He was also an accomplished songwriter and producer, helping to shape the sound of countless other musicians throughout his career. His connection to Herb Alpert and the Wrecking Crew musicians underscores the interconnectedness of the music industry and highlights how various musical genres and styles can influence one or the other. Now, interestingly enough, at the same time as a young man, I became aware of Leon Russell. I also became aware of the Gap Band, and this was primarily because Leon produced the Gap Band, and there was a Gap Band concert, I believe, that they did at the fairgrounds, probably at the baseball stadium. And the Gap Band played, and they gave out Gap Band records. And later on in the summer, Leon Russell played. And as it turns out, Emily, sweet Emily, her father was...
he was owner of the baseball team.
He had a lot of influence down there at Oilers Stadium. And so that's what enabled these concerts to happen.
I believe he owned the team.
Yeah, so us little kids could hear the evil rock and roll and bring those records home.
And the Gap Band was huge. Huge.
Yeah.
You know, they gave the country disco in their own way with a funk with a funk undertone.
Funk undertone.
Absolutely incredible, the Gap Band.
You put the bomb on me, baby.
Oh, man, early in the morning.
Yeah.
You dropped the bomb on me. I mean, the hits go on and on.
Well, Leon was originally born in Lawton. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
No, but he ended up here. He went to high school at good old Rogers.
That's right. He went to Rogers.
And those of you that go to,
That's
those
right.
of you that have gone to Rogers, you should be proud. I'm sure that you all are. But
That's right.
Rogers was an interesting school. A lot of very talented people came out of that place.
Oh, for sure. Tony Randall
Tony Randall
went to Rogers.
went to Rogers. So the list goes on and on, but we don't have that list tonight. But we will get that list together. So make a note of that over there,
Okay.
Ruben. We've got to get a list together.
Famous people
of
that went to
famous
Rogers?
people that went to Rogers High School.
We can do that.
And we'd also like to do a segment on Rogers High School. So maybe we could get in the van and get the cameras and go over there and like circle around the school.
No.
And shoot
no.
video.
Foul.
15-yard
no.
penalty on the play.
No kids. No school. No. You're going to get us locked up.
Hand to face. Hand
God
to face.
damn it.
Well,
Yeah. You know you're not allowed near a school, Eric. I mean, what is it?
let me tell you something about Leon. He had huge hands.
And he had polio. Interestingly
That's
enough.
right. He always walked with a limp.
And a cane.
The first time that I ever saw Leon in public, it was probably about 1980. And a friend of mine and I were at Service Merchandise on Sheridan. And we were in there looking for something. And as we started to come out of a store, there was Leon standing there with the white hair and the beard and a
Yeah.
white suit. And he was looking at sunglasses.
Yeah, that's
And
wild.
he was trying on different sunglasses. And my friend Bill and I were just dumbfounded. And Bill's the biggest Leon fan. I wish I had brought my Leon paintings that I have at work. And Bill has done one. That is,
Oh.
I will be bringing it, and we will have it
Sure.
on set. Bill did this painting of Leon. He was lucky enough to get Leon to autograph one of his paintings
Oh, wow.
that he did of Leon.
That's
And he
cool.
gave him one. So our story goes back to this day at Service Merchandise because we're like, it's Leon, what do we do? And Bill's like, oh, well, maybe we can go say hi. I'm like, we can't talk to Leon. He's the master of space and time. We're not allowed to
Leon's
talk to
great. I had the privilege of mixing him out in front of the Canes Ballroom on Main Street, where he was just doing an act with his son, Teddy Jack.
Yeah.
So Teddy Jack played this gourd, a shaking gourd, and Leon played the piano, and it seemed like he was playing at 78 speed. It was about 110 degrees on Main Street. There was no shade over the performance area.
Oh, no.
And it was just bad. But, it was an honor and a privilege to be there. And again, I got to mix him out at the Jinx Riverwalk, and that was a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm sure that was.
And when Leon got out of the limo that night, again dressed in white, long white hair, long white beard. I mean, it was almost like he was glowing.
Oh, well, you know what I say, Oscar. It's all about presentation.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this in closing from our deep dive here. Today, the legacy of Leon Russell and the Tulsa Sound lives on, and inspiring countless musicians and helping to shape the American scene of popular music. As musicians continue to build on the traditions established by Russell and his contemporaries, they keep alive a rich musical tradition, reminding us of the power and significance of music in our lives. Ladies and gentlemen, Oscar wrote it. I've said it.
All right.
That's all there is to it. And I'm going to tell you now, folks, hit like, hit subscribe.
They've done that already.
All
Eric.
right. So now
They've
we're
done
going
it.
to jump right into another segment. But
We're going to jump into another story.
Yeah.
Just recently here in town, Bob Dylan kicked off his national tour at the Tulsa Theater.
excellent.
And so
Why'd he do that?
Well, he loves Tulsa. His
Bob
connection.
loves Tulsa?
He has a museum here, and
Lay, lady, lay.
he also is friends with Pete Mayo.
Lay across.
Of course,
my
Pete's
big
been living, I think, in
ass,
Colorado
lay
for the
it.
last few years. But Leon was. Bob Dylan was just at the Tulsa Theater.
Stay, lady, stay.
And I have a shot here of Bob at the Brady or the Tulsa Theater. And there's Bob. It's kind of a
Look at that.
It's kind of a rusty shot, but we got it. And so the set list for the Tulsa Theater, Bob Dylan, the first song he came out of the gate with was Watchtower, Mr. Eric.
Oh, I know that song.
Yeah, they did a Watchtower guitar intro into. They didn't do the whole song. They just did this Watchtower guitar intro into "It Ain't Me, Babe."
Oh.
And then they did Multitudes. Then he did False Prophet.
Well, now let me ask you a question, Oscar.
Yeah.
Where'd you get this list of songs? Because I hope you didn't get in trouble.
No. This list came off of Reddit, actually.
Okay,
I was unable to attend the show.
Okay.
I've seen Bob several times live, and I just didn't have the 140, whatever it was, $240 or whatever.
Folks, all we can say is that here at the Tulsa Sound Podcast, we wish we could go to the shows, but we sometimes can't.
We work the shows, but we can't afford to go to them.
Because here at the Tulsa Sound Podcast, we are non-monetized.
That's right.
What that means
this is a free
that
show.
We are only sponsored by imaginary sponsors.
Yes, all of our
like
sponsors are fake.
John F. Lawhorn, Furniture Warehouse
sponsor.
and Showroom.
In Santeria Smoke Shop.
Well,
Well, my brother sponsors the show. We get all our weed from Jimmy.
Here I go.
So let me tell you about the set.
Tell me, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
I
so Bob
apologize.
Dylan was here, and after he did Multitudes, he went into False Prophet, which is an amazing Bob Dylan song.
Yeah.
Then he did Masterpiece, man, with a harmonica, and it was fucking beautiful. That's one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs is Masterpiece. Then he did Black Rider, Movoy, M-O-V-O-Y.
Yeah.
And To Be Alone with You for the first set. First set. And then there was a break.
Then he took a break.
Bob took a break.
God knows a gentleman of his
age, yeah.
needs to take a break. I get to stop the show every few minutes and say, wait a minute, I got to take a break. But, eventually Bob can't, so we got to let him take that break.
After the set break, Bob comes back and he does Rubicon.
Yeah.
So Bob was like going to war. I mean, this set list is like a preparation for battle. Then he does Desolation Row, which, Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead used to do Desolation Row, and it would rip my heart out, man. That song is a heavy tune, but Bob's version is great. Of course, he wrote the damn thing. So then he did Key West.
By the Village People?
No, his own Key West, Bob Dylan's Key West. Then
that would have been a eye opener, wouldn't it?
Then he did River Flow. So after River Flow, Bob went into Baby Blue, which must have been a special moment, and I really envy everyone that was at the show. Yeah. Okay, so after River Flow, he does Baby Blue, then he goes into Made Up My Mind with his harmonica.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to note, that he's busting out the harp again, and he's not behind those keyboards all the time.
It's not a hard instrument to carry around. That's
true.
Sure, yeah.
Bob then did Muses.
Unless you're John and Popper.
Which is a great song. Then he did a song called Jimmy Reed.
Yeah.
And then he did Egos by Bob Dylan, again with the harmonica.
And
that's what he wrapped out the show with, was Egos.
Amazing.
And so it was a great time.
And now he's back out on tour again.
Back out and killing it straight from Tulsa.
Back in 22 he played here, and I got the T-shirt.
Yes.
You worked the show, and I got the T-shirt. And I'm glad to have it because,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm wearing legacy when I.
So we prepared this show last week. We know it's April 5th, but we have some news that we wanted to include in this quick segment here. David Crosby busted at a No Nukes rally. Oh man, the Cros, and he was my hero when I was in my 20s and 30s,
Yeah.
and the guy just an incredible musician, incredible writer. Son of a filmmaker, he grew up privileged. I mean, a lot of people don't know that about him. But on March 28th of 1982, on his way to a No Nukes rally, David Crosby crashes his car into a divider on the San Diego freeway.
Why would David crash his car?
Well, it had something to do with Quaaludes. Everybody that took Quaaludes back in the day, people quit taking Quaaludes because everybody was running their car into a light pole or a tree.
Oh my God!
And I mean, this was a serious problem. And so, again, March 28th, 1982, on his way to a No Nukes rally, David Crosby crashes his car into a divider on the San Diego freeway. Police find quaaludes, cocaine,
Good God.
paraphernalia, and a concealed pistol in the vehicle, but the charges against him are plea bargain down to reckless driving, and he is sentenced to probation and a $751 fine.
Now, is this when he ran for the hills?
No. He just passed out behind the wheel and got busted.
No, I mean after he got busted.
Well, it was only
Is this when he went on the lam?
No, this is before that. Because he got busted several times
previous
after this.
trouble.
But it was a $751 fine, and police asked him why he was carrying a gun, and Crosby's two-word answer was simply this: John Lennon. So, he felt like his life was in danger.
Felt like his life was in danger.
Yeah, he felt like it. And a few weeks later, he's arrested again, and this time for freebasing cocaine in Texas. So, the Crosby was in and out of trouble. He was a troubled guy, but I think he liked his
pissed
trouble.
John Lennon off, and what?
I think he liked his trouble. I think he fed off of it somehow.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think? I think that David was, of course. I got to admit, man, his voice, what he does, the songs he writes, the joy that's on his face when he plays. I know that there towards the end, he alienated some of his friends, and
Yeah, he did.
I have to say that I always come down on the Neil Young side of a divorce because that's just me.
Right,
But
right.
at the same time, I understand that.
Well, there was a period where he was living in a van and driving around smoking coke and heroin and just doing small venues like the size of the Canes by himself.
Yeah?
But I had the privilege I've seen CSN 3 times, and they performed at the Brady way back in the day. This was in the early 90s, and I remember his voice cutting through me like just this powerful force. I mean, it literally cut through you while they were doing Wooden Ships or any of their great classics. I saw him in St. Louis. I saw him in Oklahoma City. So they were great. CSN was a great band to see live, and his voice was powerful, man, really powerful, and you just felt changed somehow after seeing him.
Well, here you have it.
And there you have it. That's a little bit about the Cross and a little bit about Bob Dylan.
So you got to be careful when you're on your way to a peacenik rally, because if you're fucked up on drugs and you crash your car, the cops are going to look in there, and then they're going to know what you got, and then, oh, crap, and then you're going to have lots of life decisions to make, and it's not going to be good.
Smashing baby!
So we are really glad that you guys have tuned in with us tonight. We're glad you stuck around. We're glad you guys were here.
We're glad you're
We're
here.
glad you enjoyed the show. Tell 5 friends. Share the show with 5 friends, and let people know we're here.
That's right.
Next week we have the Sasstones coming on.
Oh,
and they are a
that's right.
local
That's
Tulsa
right.
Sound band, and we're going to play some trivia questions.
Yeah, we've
with
got
the
a whole
Sasstone.
new trivia game thing we're lined up to entertain you guys with. And, of course, the Sasstones, which is my band, will be performing our little tiny set here in our little tiny studio.
And we've got some trivia questions
And
about
again,
the Tulsa Sound.
we want to remind you to keep in your prayers the watch guard downstairs. When we come up here to the 101st floor, we have a special elevator we have to get on. He was injured last week. He fell on the ice, so we want to make sure we keep him in our thoughts and our prayers, that he's going to be okay. In the meantime,
Tots and pears.
remember that when you're at the top of the building, things can get a little crazy. So,
well, we love you, and we're glad you joined us tonight for the
that's right.
Tulsa Sound.
We're glad to be here, and we're glad you're here, and so we're going to get out of here.
We're going to
But
get out of
We want
here.
you to have fun, and we will be back in just the shortest time ever.
That's right, next week.
With another exciting show. Good night,
This has
folks.
been the Tulsa Sound Podcast.
Tulsa
Good
Sound
night,
Podcast.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.